his video, which, as you can see, I haven't seen yet, except for this red line here. I saw only the beginning because it's full of shit and I was busy with other things. I have a full-time job, I have a baby, and I was finishing my series. You should check it out. The British Empire was not the biggest. I got like 14 videos proving not just that, but also that the Spanish Empire did not commit genocide. Massacres, sometimes. A genocide is just a different thing. But anyway, as you can see, I'm not afraid to have positions that are against millions and millions of people, the majority of the world, because I'm a free thinker unlike you. Alright, look at his title. Holes in sand go away, so atheists are insane. Did I say that? In part I did, but that's not my argument. He totally omitted my entire reasoning. As you can see, I don't even have to click on this shit propaganda because it's proven wrong by comparing the argument I gave, which has reasoning. Stockman claims a straw man, but he's the one doing a straw man, since I never said that all atheists would openly believe sandcastles can erode into existence. I'm just applying the atheist standard across the board, where no intelligent design would be necessary for anything ultimately. After presenting the scenario, some atheists have admitted that they believe sandcastles could be unintended. I would never accuse all atheists of being consistent with their beliefs, such as about there being no need for intention behind high levels of order, in which case you would believe sandcastles could form mindlessly. Such insane nonsense should be seen in the world if atheism were rational. But ill-Logicked, Stockman, and his cult failed to provide any footage because you are all weak and pathetic. Stockman commits circular reasoning that DNA was ultimately unintended. He says that DNA is reproduced, which would make it able to be preserved and supposedly built upon, unlike sandcastles' order. But reproduction only reshuffles information, the figurative cards, or activates dormant genes, not adds any really. The following argument proves macroevolution is impossible. But first, Dawkins stumped on DNA.
Can you give an example of a genetic mutation or an evolutionary process which can be seen to increase the information in the genome?
Can you just stop one? I think.
I'm recording.
Okay. There's a popular misunderstanding of evolution which says that fish turned into reptiles and reptiles turned into mammals.
Proof macroevolution is literally impossible. The mind is free to think, so it is not a slave to physics. Now, some atheists have actually told me that they are not capable of thinking, in which case I tell them, you have disqualified yourself from debate because I debate only with thinkers. Now, since the mind is free, it's not a slave. Since it's not a slave, it's not a slave to physics. Since it's not a slave to physics, it's not physical. And that means that genes, being physical, cannot determine intelligence being of the metaphysical mind, as proven to be metaphysical, that is. So DNA evolution can't make a species into a smarter one. Mind free, free, not a slave. Not a slave, so not a slave to physics, not a slave to physics, not physical, not physical, so genes can't determine intelligence. So DNA evolution can't make a species into a smarter one, as racists believe, where a race, if isolated, could become a superior species. That's what Nazis believed. And in my series on the British Empire being overrated, I proved that Hitler was a macroevolutionist. He's trying to explain DNA mindlessly, but he can't even explain a sandcastle without a mind. That's how pathetic and weak and just a jokey that he is. I can jump over Mount Everest, but don't challenge me to jump over that speed bump, hypocrite. You can't jump over a little speed bump and you pretend to be able to jump to the highest mountain. The highest level of order that I can think of is DNA. So Stockman's a hypocrite. He makes big boasts, but he can talk the talk, but he can't walk the walk. You're so pathetic, you can't even jump over this little speed bump. Can't prove either one, you're full of shit. Without a mind, you have nothing. You're mindless. 1,000 nations of the atheist empire descend upon you. I'm not intimidated by thousands of atheists because I know you are paper tigers. And when I delete comments, it is one of two reasons. Either they're just maliciously insulting me in drive-by shootings, pretty much, and I'm not going to let my enemies shit and parade in my own living room, my channel, nope. Or, and they don't even try to be logical, or, if they do try to be logical, then they run away from my questions over and over again, and I get tired of that. And there's no end to them running away from my questions, so there's no point continuing with them, especially when I have hundreds of them to deal with. The Spartans do not ask how many the enemies are, but where they are. I make prey out of predators, Deus vult. Here's an example of a typical fan of ill-Logicked who shits out a fallacy to no surprise whatsoever because you're all irrational. Your video has less than 1,000 views, but this guy's famous. You're almost famous. Congrats. You, popularity is irrelevant to truth. Me, ad populum fallacy atheist. Do you really believe Justin Bieber is better than all singers less famous than him? Your comment got a few likes. Congrats, you're almost popular in your herd. See, I'm alone because I'm a free thinker. You're in a herd because you're not. I tried to do a recording of this part, but I'm really bad at public speaking.
This doesn't have a whole lot to say on this.
I don't like doing scripts. I like to be natural. And the issue is, I like to be natural because I think it's better and more. I don't know, just. It's not fake. I hate anything that's fake.
Alright, I'm not sure if this video is for real or not. Bit of Poe's Law going on here, so it's possible I'm falling for a troll here, but...
This is a common accusation by atheists who want me to be a troll so that they don't have to deal with my arguments, because if I were a troll, then you don't have to take me seriously, in which case you can run away from my arguments. But if I am serious, and you challenge me or I challenge you, and you run away from my arguments, then that makes you a coward. In your case, you're a coward because your title and your description are strawman fallacies that totally omit my reasoning, which makes you a strawman fallacy committer and a coward and dishonest, not to be trusted. But people want to believe you because they want there to be no God, because if there is no God, do as thou wilt and you will get away with it. Holes in sand go away, so atheists are insane is not my argument. So you're a liar. You're a liar. Maybe that sock is to hide the fact that you have a forked tongue. Now, I already showed my reasoning here in this video, and you chose to omit it entirely. Entirely. So I don't even have to see your video, and I already proved that you're a liar. Just with your dishonest, misleading, deceptive propaganda title. The fact that you resort to that shows you don't have the truth on your side. If you did, why would you do that?
I guess I'll leave that up to whoever writes the YouTube history books to decide.
Atheists say that science is on their side. They are deluded and gullible.
Hey, hoser, you're deluded and gullible, eh?
I don't know what a hoser is.
Science proves atheism is insanity and irrational to the greatest extreme.
Hoser. You're a hoser.
He's a hoser, eh? Yeah, right. You're a hoser. And you're ignorant, too.
For thousands of years, in thousands of beaches, not one sandcastle has ever eroded into existence.
I find myself inclined to agree with you.
Well, of course you do, because my argument is based on empirical reality, not opinions.
Science says mind did it.
No, your experience makes you...
You say no. You said no to this. You said no to science says mind did it. Now, what is science? Science is observations of natural phenomena. I say that the observations tell us that sandcastles don't erode into existence. And you are already inclined to agree. You admitted that this is the case. This is the truth. So you admit that we observe, that science says, in other words, what I said. And what are humans? They're agents with minds, as opposed to erosion, which has no mind, which is why it doesn't create sandcastles.
Science says
Ever.
mind did it.
No, your experience makes you assume a human did it.
Assume a human did it. Well, if you want to be technical about it, we're assuming that logic is reliable, because how can you prove that logic is reliable without circular reasoning relying on logic?